Welcome back to the Post Definitions Podcast. I'm your host, Freddie Lancia, and today we're taking a little trip up the mountain, over to Tbilisi, to visit a few friends of mine, a young married couple from Germany and Russia, Tim and Masha. They've both made careers out of helping people through this crazy thing we call life, and they've developed their own methods for doing so. They've become experts at helping people through crises and challenges in life. But the big question remains: what happens when they encounter their own life challenges? When they encounter crises in their own relationship? When two ideologies clash? What happens when two experts disagree on how to solve a problem that they're going through together? Do they encounter identity crises? How do they keep their relationship strong? How do they balance maintaining authenticity, keeping their selves, their own identity, while sharing a life with another person? How have challenges led to not only strengthening their own relationship, but strengthening themselves, and in the end, deep self-discovery? We're going to tackle all these questions and more in today's episode and have a lot of fun, so please enjoy.
Are you gonna bite me?
Hello.
Oh no. Hello, I'm a filmmaker. Yeah. I have to take off my shoes, Freddy. You have
You
to.
can also, if you want, we have this
Hello.
Georgian style. You can keep your shoes on.
Yeah, it's letting go of the attachment, letting go of the everything what doesn't serve us anymore, and expectations, and also letting go of your identity, basically. And sometimes life forces us to do that.
And
It is.
what does this look like in your relationship when you have a crisis and then you guys are both experts, but then you have to you have to solve this problem together and be like, no, you're too close to this or something, or
I would say, okay, one of the things is, you said it so beautifully. We're experts. But in those moments, I'm realizing that I'm a fucking idiot, that I have no idea, and that I need to actually stay curious about what is happening in this moment. It's really challenging. I mean, initially I would say, and I think it does make it easier that we are experts in our fields, because if Masha believes she's an expert and I believe I'm an expert, how do you find actually a way forward? Because there is going to be unconscious processes of blaming one another and trying to put the responsibility on the other person, because I'm the expert. No, I'm the expert. So it kind of, for me personally, it has a lot to do with softening and realizing that even though I think I got some things figured out, I will still be faced with things that I have not figured out. And that is the growth process. But it requires really, I would say, a humble attitude towards life and actually a genuine commitment towards a shared horizon, I would say. And for us, it's we had a really challenging time this year, 2 months ago, 3 months ago.
Full year, I would say.
Different perceptions.
No, we have a really challenging year.
But at the end, we had to realize that we actually have a shared field of values, including, for example, intimacy and honesty. And even though we have those shared values of love and acceptance and all those things, they have different expressions through the two of us. And so I cannot expect Masha to be honest in the way that I want her to be, or show me intimacy in the way that I would like to receive it, because even though we have this shared value, she expresses it in her own way and I express it in my own way. And so I think what was really important is to remember that the values are actually aligned, but the expression of those values is unique. And the expression of those values is also infused with identity. It's the way we grew up, what we learned about those things. We even realized, we have different definitions for different values, we agree on that value, but if we really go into it, we think differently about those things. And that is interesting, I think, to keep communicating, trying to be as honest as possible, and actually taking responsibility for those really uncomfortable emotions that are coming up in the process. And for me, it was a lot about softening. For me, it was a lot about realizing that, oh, I might still have a lot more in this dynamic than I thought I would. And just also realizing, oh, yeah, there are still things underneath the surface that I'm not aware about and that are actually right now trying to come up. Like, this crisis is actually an opportunity to be more transparent, to be more honest with myself, to create a deeper intimacy with those parts that, as I said earlier, maybe got pushed aside for me being liked and loved and appreciated from the outside world, and now integrating them back in. And it's really challenging if you have somebody sitting opposite of you that seemingly is the reason for you feeling like a piece of shit, because it's so easy to blame it on the other person. And that's my side of things. That for me, it was really about realizing that I was actually blaming, that I was actually trying to push the responsibility away, and then to soften into this idea that maybe I don't know actually so much about myself. I mean, I explored a lot, but a lot is probably still in relation to what is still undiscovered is a tiny little bit. So just this humble approach of like, maybe I don't know, and then coming back to a place of, okay, can I actually find acceptance for myself in there, and also honor the process of the other person, honor Masha's process in there.
Okay, I would say is also nothing bad about asking about help. In this way, in this regard. So I'm staying on this field. If I can provide the help for other people, I'm also a person, like therapist or whatever, who also can ask about help, professional help, or maybe friends, like whatever. Like asking about help, I think is one of the most important. Like support, we all need it. So I think honestly, thinking that I'm an expert here and I will figure out all the stuff in my relationship is a very egocentric thing to think and to do. Yes, a team used to do that many times and all the time. So I'm not in this path. I would say I'm more about really asking about help and so sharing with someone. What has also helped me so much, it's take a distance from relationships. So I went to visit my family for 4 months, I would say 2.5 weeks, something like that. And that really helped. So take a distance and really see what's going on.
Because maybe then you can kind of treat yourself like one of your clients. Like you can look at it further and say, oh, actually, why don't you use those tools that you teach? Or
I think it's just, for me, it was actually, again, about identity. really nice topic you have. It was about coming back to myself, coming back to my family, coming back to the friends from my past, I would say, life, student time life, who knows me before traveling, who knows me before marriage, who knows me a little bit different than I am right now. And that was nice to come back, was nice to remember myself as well, all parts of myself again, before marriage, before traveling. What I maybe forgot right now in this relationship. So nice. I would say that was very important. Different, yeah?
One more thing I would like to say about the whole concept and idea of relationship is what I saw myself doing in that moment is actually thinking that there's a problem with the relationship, even though the relationship was just the mirror for the individuals in there. So the relationship crisis was actually trying to, what Mashula said, actually take a step back and look at what is actually going on inside of me, what part of myself am I actually abandoning, and what kind of hopes am I having on the relationship to fulfill me? And how can I then take my unique individual responsibility to take care of myself so that I don't codependently need the other person, but actually really want to be with the other person.
Yeah.
But it's so easy, you know, for us humans, it's so easy to get attached to another human being and to get certain qualities out of them and certain emotional capacities that we didn't develop internally yet. You know, it's like I oftentimes went to Mashula when I was feeling unconfident, and when I was worrying and when I was doubting myself, I would go to Masha to hold me, because she has a feminine, nurturing, loving quality that I am in the process of developing inside, but it was way easier to go over to her and get it from her. But at the same time, if I rely on her, that's a codependent relationship.
But you also learn from her.
Of course, and that's ideal, you know, that's the ideal scenario, is that I actually look and I'm like, oh my God, she has that quality that I actually really seek, that I really want, and that I actually maybe abandoned in my past, because the sensitive side of me was definitely not appreciated on the playground with the other boys, because I was the guy crying, and crying was not cool. Crying was not fucking cool. And then I stopped crying. But that was actually the sensitive side of me. You know, that was the nurturing side of me that was actually empathetic, sympathetic, like was being able to sympathize with another person, was able to sympathize with me. And so I saw it in Masha, and I learned that I can't have it. So I thought, oh, if she has it, I'll take it from her. But of course, ideally, as you said, I look at it and I remember, ooh, somewhere I put that outside. Let's invite that back in, because actually this is a part that feels really fulfilling for me, you know, like that's a part that actually makes me feel really complete, is that sensitive and nurturing, you could say, feminine side of me. But again, it took a crisis, it took a challenge for me to actually realize that. And so it's kind of beautiful to see that those crises and those challenges are really huge opportunities to reevaluate our identity and to invite parts back in that we probably abandoned somewhere along the way because it was not safe to have them. And so I would say that's how I see relationship, is as a beautiful mirror to actually come back to ourselves individually and to look inside and see, like, okay, what am I actually avoiding right now? Or what am I not ready to take responsibility for?
Are you able to talk about, like, an example of a piece of identity that you had to shed? I guess you talk about bringing back a piece of identity. This, like, ability to cry or...
For me, it's funny when I talk about it because it's ridiculous, but I developed, I would say, a very strong sense of superiority in my life, because it was something that kept me safe, that I feel like was a defense mechanism against being pushed down. So, like, taking that, like, I was crying, I was the smaller guy, I was the chubby guy on the playground, I felt like lower in the hierarchy. And so my defense mechanism that at a certain point I really started to identify with a lot is that I'm superior. And I did that a lot through the mind, through intellectual understanding, through knowledge, through words, through actually making other people feel less important and less worthy by, for example, pointing out their weaknesses, by pointing out their flaws, and by selling myself as the person that knows it all. And I still have those aspects. Sometimes I'm still a know-it-all, and I'm learning to also hold space for that part, because I think it's painful to see, you know, like nobody likes a know-it-all. And in a certain way, that was my way to actually feel safe from in front of those other guys, you know, like I had to stand my ground and protect myself and be fierce and strong in a certain way to not get pushed down. And that is a part that I was actually, or that I'm in the process of letting go more and more, is like this actually humbleness and this realization that, oh yeah, I don't know it. And actually, even though if I would know it, there's actually not really a value in projecting that idea onto someone else. There's no value in pushing someone else down for my own superiority. You know, it's like sensitivity always beats superiority. Not on an individual level. For individual survival, superiority is great. Individual survival, superiority, amazing, because you're the one on top of the hierarchy. But in a relationship, it's not about individual identity anymore, but it's also about collective and communal identity. And in that moment, superiority just brings in a lot of pain and a lot of suffering and a lot of destruction. And sensitivity actually really fosters this safety in a community where you can sympathize with one another and where you can appreciate one another. And so I think this know-it-all superior part of me is something that I'm slowly realizing that I don't need anymore. And again, it's also not comfortable because it served me actually for such a long time. But now I can see, no, now it's just harming myself and harming my beautiful wife and harming most people that I would interact with from the superiority.
Yeah. What about your relationship identity from the outside? How does it feel to say you're married, to say, oh, this is my husband, this is my wife, and then sort of have another person have to answer for another person, or let this other person represent you? Like, I chose this person as a person I think is amazing, and you should too, and then you have to maybe be judged for their actions or something like this. I don't know. Like, just how does it feel when you're socializing as a couple?
I think for me in the beginning it was really exciting to say that I'm married and this is my man, and he's also German, like not Russian, is something very exotic and interesting. I think like
German is exotic?
I think so.
German is the least exotic.
No, like for Russians it's like
For Americans, it's also exotic, you know?
So,
it's
yeah.
far away.
Yeah, it's something still, yeah, very, very interesting. So for Russian people, so I would say I was really excited about that, and also I was really proud of myself, of us, and in general this relationship. I think the most maybe difficult thing is right now, like this year, like after this crisis, or when we are in this crisis, because how the relationship also goes. Yeah, like in the first stage we're still like really melting into each other, so we basically so close to each other, we are sharing everything, we're sharing values, we're sharing, yes, our time, and at some point that's what crumbles. Yeah, like we kind of forgetting who we are in those relationships. So I think right now it's actually maybe more important for me and more interesting to show up as a like personality, and like not as a maybe wife or not as a couple as we are like sitting here together, but actually, okay, who am I? So what am I doing? So I think that's in second step of the relationship again. Yes, like we need to separate from each other. And I think that's what we are going through right now. So this like separation where we again start to find ourselves, yeah, our internal personality, like our identification, yeah, in the relationship. So, and I think right now it's maybe for me, if someone talking about, oh, you're such a nice couple, or this and that, for me it's maybe more important than, okay, but see me in there, because I'm just going into this process right now.
Definitely.
But anyway, I think for us it's the most important to show up as a couple, not as a, I don't know, this Instagram Barbie and Ken couple. Yeah, everything so amazing, everything a fairy tale. Oh my God, we find each other and how good it is and blah blah blah. It is good. It is amazing. Relationship is a beautiful thing, but I want to show more and more that it is challenging and it is growth and it is very very important to be committed to that relationship. So yeah, I would say I would love to show up as a like human beings and a real couple, real family with all aspects of it. Yeah, like with ups and downs, with crises, with some, I don't know, misunderstanding and argues and all of that. And also with a lot of compassion, love, and what else we have?
That's beautiful. What else do we have?
Fun. Actually, we have a lot of fun, so that's true. So yeah, that's I think the most important right now for me as a couple, as an identity of a couple. Want to say something about that?
Now you're interviewing me. It's like always. I gotta answer questions now. I would agree with everything what you said. There's kind of and of course I want to add something to it. No, but like I agree that there's these different stages of it, where you could say like the beginning, like the rose-colored glasses phase, where it's like it's the pre-tragic, you know, you're just like, oh my God, I found my soulmate, you know, it's all so amazing, all so beautiful. It's great. We live in Sri Lanka in like fucking tree houses, huts on the beach, you know, there's no problems. And then at a certain point you enter the tragic, where it's like, for example, Masha decides that she doesn't want to work the job anymore that she was working before. And that's kind of like, oh my God, now we're facing a challenge together. And then I'm like, oh, now I come out of my hippie phase of life and I actually want to start working and making money. And oh my God, that's a challenge. So you enter from this like, oh my God, it's all so amazing and beautiful and no problems, the pre-tragic into the tragic. And then in the tragic, a lot of people break up, because then it's like the reality of life of like, oh my God, there's challenges. There's fucking challenges. And I think what Masha was describing right now is kind of this coming out the other side, where you could say that's the post-tragic, whereas actually you have seen that, oh my God, there is challenge. And now we can actually tackle that or approach that from a place of honesty that, oh my God, there is challenge. You know, it's like, oh my God, a relationship is not just unicorns and rainbows.
And tree houses.
And surfing, even though, oh my God, I want to go back there.
Why did you leave?
Because
you had
life.
to have a job.
Bro, life.
Wake up.
No, it's... life led us this way. I mean, it's like you can't be in the pre-tragic all your life. You can try, but I think then again, you're avoiding life in a certain way. I mean, you could stay there, but it's not... I also don't think that it's fulfilling. So the post-tragic is kind of like the integration of like, oh my God, we love each other, and can we actually love each other in challenge? And that's a whole different thing, you know? It's like, it's so easy to be at peace, you could say, in the quote-unquote heaven where there's no issues, and then it's a lot more difficult to be at peace in reality of life down here on this planet. And I think that's where we are arriving now. I mean, we are married now for 3 years. We were together for 4 years. And we're still getting to know one another. And to be honest, I gotta say more and more, the more I get to know Masha, the more I gotta admit, oh, fuck, I don't know this girl so much. And again, I thought before that I know it all. Remember that one, you know? It's like, know it all. Like, I know you, you know? I know your issues. I know what you gotta do. I know how you lead your life best. And now I'm just realizing, oh, I actually don't know her, and I freaking love her. I freaking love her, even though I might not know so much about it. And I'm actually excited about getting to know her more and more. And I think that is a beautiful aspect of the post-tragic, is to be like, oh, you see those shadows. Oh, you see those challenges. Oh, you see those struggles coming up. And you still choose to actually love that person. It's a commitment. And that is, as Masha said, that's work. I mean, a relationship is work. And I think for me, it is the most fulfilling and most beautiful work there is, for me personally. Because there is so much of just self-exploration, of getting to know someone else, of really being open to actually new experiences and creating something unique together. You know, it's like the merging of two unique selves into a unique union, you could say. And that's it's challenging. It's full of challenge and it's full of beauty because it never existed before. So it's like really creating something completely novel.
So thank you so much, guys. I think we're going to wrap it up there, and we have a lot to think about. So we're going to say goodbye, and maybe you have any closing remarks. Maybe give it to Tim.
Oh yeah, that was unexpected right now. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much, Freddie. It was lovely. Lovely talking to you. Amazing questions. I really enjoyed
Okay, thank you so
spending time
much.
with you here. Thank you so much.
Me too. Thank you for having me.
Goodbye.
Bye,
Goodbye, Freddie.
goodbye? Any special way? Do you sing a song or something?
We say subscribe.
Yeah.
Subscribe.
Oh, there's a rainbow.